Hello, and welcome back for another episode of the Accessible Technology Podcast. My name is Phoebes, and this is a podcast where you get to hear all about the everyday technology that is accessible for disabled people, as well as learning what tech is less accessible, and where you can also find details on how I think technology companies can start making their technology more accessible, if that is something that you're also into. My interest in accessible technology is largely because I have been paralysed from the neck down since 2001 when I was 3 years old. And that, for anyone who isn't aware, means that I can only breathe with the help of a ventilator and a trachea, and I can only move my head. So that's why each of the reviews and tech stories you hear on here are all from the point of view of someone who has very limited movement. And if you are someone who thinks that you would be interested in learning more about accessible technology through this podcast, or if you know someone who is also interested in accessible technology, you can follow the podcast by searching for it on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. So please check it out if you would like to keep on following what's coming up in the next episode. However, you can also support it by going over to the Phoebes Now Buy Me a Coffee page, where you will be able to give me a one-time donation of whatever amount you want, or to join one of my exclusive content plans for extreme nerds, which will allow you to check out exclusive content that I plan to bring to this podcast at some point, as well as checking out any other digital goods that I bring out at some point in the future. In this episode, we are continuing on with the experiments with adaptive gaming series, as I tell you whether or not Latchboxes make it easier to play racing or shooter games. And as always, a link to the actual video is below if you would like to check that out. But as always, just a couple of additional notes about the companies and organisations that I originally used to try out this technology before I get completely into the episode. So as explained in the last episode, if you heard it, Special Effect is a UK gaming charity which was founded by Dr. McDonaghan in 2007, and which cares about finding ways for disabled people to enjoy and get back into gaming. However, since you can only loan the gaming equipment in from Special Effect, you'll have to buy the equipment in from other sellers. And in the case of this episode, the website that you'll have to buy the device off is OneSwitch. OneSwitch is a company which is a fun resource for Switch users and for anyone who is looking into finding accessibility solutions. and has been doing the same thing for quite a number of years. You can get the device by getting in contact with Barry Ellis through that. But now that I have all of that information, John, let's get into the episode. So basically the reason why I wanted to try out a Latchbox was because I needed help when playing racing games, and this is something that is quite difficult for me. Please be aware that although in the title this specifically says Xbox, the same equipment can work on PlayStation, and I think it also works on Nintendo Switch. So it's one that works across all the different console platforms. But basically, when playing racing games, I need to have two switches behind my head, one for accelerate and the other for brake and everything else, although I can do all the other buttons on the controller. But to be honest, I would say it isn't as much the Latchbox that is the problem, because some games don't have latching options built in, and this is especially the case with Forza Horizon 4, which I still find good fun, but just didn't have latching options built in at the time it came out. But I would say the problem is definitely a problem with racing games and in and of themselves. I think the problem is that it's still very difficult for me to be able to hit brake and to after I finish accelerating. So what would be easier for me would be just if I was able to hit accelerate on and off with the Latchbox, and then for the accelerator then go automatically into brake mode, which could even be included as an accessibility feature. This could be something that I think could go over all of the racing games, and to be honest, I think it's something that I will look into explaining soon in another video I'm hoping to get out, which is basically one when I try to explain all the different accessibility options that should be introduced into other games, not only racing, but just to see how accessible adaptive gaming can become overall. Although the title of this specifically points out racing games, I think it's important to mention that another game latching with a Latchbox can work out very well for the person using it is with Red Dead Redemption 2, where it can be used as an aim option instead of having to hold aim and shoot down at the same time. This allows people like myself to hit aim and then to hit shoot, which although I haven't got to that bit in the game at the minute because I'm just still trying to get through the beginning bit of it. that is basically a great option to have. So if you're using the Latchbox with the Xbox adaptive controller like I do, you can plug it into either of the HDMI ports on the controller. And if your adaptive controller is already on, a red light should come on the Latchbox. You would then plug whatever switch you want to use into the 3mm port that is labelled in, with another wire fitting the 3mm out port, plugging into any of the 3mm jacks on the back of the Xbox adaptive controller. You'll have to make sure your adaptive controller is set on the right profile you need to use it with, or else the setup won't work. But each time you hit the switch after that, it will count as you hitting it off and on. So what are your thoughts on the Latchbox? Do you know anyone who had it? And if you have had it or know someone who has had it, how did you find it? And also, what were your experiences like with it? If you'd like to pass on some of your thoughts, you can include them in a review wherever you're listening to this on, as well as contacting me via the contact pages over on my Phoebes Tech Reviews site, www.pltechreviews.co.uk, or on my other website, phoebelau.com. If you're interested in watching the other videos I've uploaded about accessible technology, you can find more of them by searching for PL Tech Reviews on YouTube. And if you'd like to see a couple of my accessible tours and reviews, as well as my film, TV, theatre reviews and political videos, you can see them by searching for my Phoebes Now Journalism YouTube channel, and by also searching for the Phoebes Now podcast on all of the same destinations as you can listen to this podcast on. But of course, there is also the Buy Me a Coffee page again, and that's where you'll be able to find some exclusive episodes of this podcast that aren't actually part of it. Plus, you'll have the opportunity to give me a one-time donation. So in the next episode, you'll be hearing my thoughts on the Marvel Avengers video game. Then we'll be jumping back into another episode of Experiments with Adaptive Gaming, as I tell you whether or not the Manfrotto variable friction arm helps you to hold on two buttons at one time, and discuss if there's any other better options out there that do the same thing. If you would like to support me on Twitter, you can do so by searching for @PhoebesLyle, and my Instagram handle is @TheRealPhoebesLyle. However, you can also follow the Phoebes Tech Reviews site as well if you have a WordPress account. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye!